15 greatest weapons that never saw action. Number 1. Horten HO-229 Bat. This is a German fighter plane that, if it were used during the war, things could have gone much differently. This plane was capable of leaving a base in Germany and reaching Washington, D.C. or New York without ever showing up on our radars. It could have dropped bombs and then returned without even needing to refuel. This aircraft could have wreaked havoc on England, Russia, and Europe with no problem. Number 2. F-22 Raptor. This aircraft cost $450 million to build, and it has never fired a shot at an enemy since it was created 25 years ago. There are several fifth-generation fighters out there, however, none of them are as good as the F-22 when it comes to performance and design. This fighter plane stopped being produced in 2009, and it is expected that it will start again in 2020. Some people believe that it is sad that it has never been fired. However, it's a good thing because it means that we aren't at war with anyone dangerous. Number 3. The XB-70 Valkyrie. The Air Force needed a replacement for the B-52 in the 1960s. They needed a fighter plane to get deep into enemy airspace without getting shot down. This is where the plans for the Valkyrie came in. Its front view would have made it difficult for the enemy to spot it on the radar. It was also extremely fast, so it would have been able to outrun anything. The Valkyrie was never built because of the overages on the budget. Eventually, it was replaced with a newer generation of super-fast surface-to-air missiles. Number 4. Japanese I-400 Aircraft Carrying Submarine. This submarine is not the only sub ever designed to carry airplanes. However, it was the first. This weapon was originally designed for the Japanese Navy during World War II. They saw it as the only way that they could hit the United States or the Panama Canal. It was capable of carrying 3 Sarin attack planes. It could also carry anti-ship torpedoes. This was a great piece of machinery that never had a chance to be used. Number 5. SLAM Missile. This missile was considered to be a nuclear provocation, which is why it was never used. It was, however, an amazing piece of machinery. The ICBMs that were used during the Cold War would have been easy to detect when they were launched. This would have given the other side a chance to strike back. This is why they were never fired. The SLAM could fly low enough without being detected, and it could fly fast enough that it could get in and out quickly. Since it has never been used in war, we will never know its full capabilities. Number 6. Excalibur Space Laser. This amazing weapon was part of the Star Wars program in 1984, endorsed by Ronald Reagan. It is also known as the project that was able to bankrupt the Soviet Union. The weapon could harness the power of a minor nuclear blast that would send a blast of infrared energy at the Earth. This energy would shoot down any incoming missiles. There were a few flaws, so it didn't get up and running. The biggest issue is that it could not target more than one warhead. Today, we have the technology to create this weapon, and the Air Force is working on a design that would be mounted on an airplane. Number 7. Nuclear ICBMs. This is one unused weapon that is best staying that way. These weapons played a role in preventing a Third World War that most people thought would happen no matter what. It has never been used in anger, and that is the best thing for the entire world. Number 8. Space Marines Sustain. This project was proposed in 2002 as a suborbital air-launched spaceplane. It is capable of carrying 13 Space Marines who would be carried on a mothership named White Knight. The rocket boosters would allow it to fly low into orbit, or it can hover for hours waiting for a strike. As of yet, it has not been used. The first spaceplane doesn't even have a name yet. Number 9. Lund-class Ekranoplane. Luckily for the United States, this craft was used for only transport through the 1990s. This is good, because this craft could carry enough nuclear bombs to destroy every city on the East Coast. It didn't fly through the air, It actually rode on a cushion of air that was trapped between the ground and its wings. It was capable of going 360 miles per hour at 60 feet off of the water surface. It was also capable of moving under radar. Number 10. Sarpamba Hydrogen Bomb. This is one of the greatest weapons that never saw action, which is a good thing. This weapon belongs to Russia, and it is capable of causing the most powerful man-made explosion in history. It is the equivalent of taking a piece of the sun about 2 miles wide and throwing it at the Earth. When it explodes, it would vaporize everything in a 20-mile radius. Everything within a 50-mile radius would die within a few hours. A few days later, people within a 100-mile radius would also die. For over 100 miles, the mushroom cloud would be visible. The fallout would stretch from New York to Colorado. Luckily for mankind, this weapon has never been used. It was designed more as a warning for people to fear Russia. Number 11. Little David Mortar. This weapon is a better version of the Gustav and Dora railway guns. It has a 3,600-pound shell, which weighed less than both of its predecessors. It is much easier to transport, and it needs just 25 people to man the weapon rather than the 250 that are needed for the Gustav or Dora. Also, this weapon can be fired in 12 hours rather than the 3 days that it took for Dora and Gustav. It was not built for combat. It was designed to test-fire aerial bombs. In 1944, Japan transported the weapon. It was never used because, luckily, we bombed Japan first. If we hadn't, things could have been much different. Number 12. Puckle Gun. This was the first version of the machine gun. It was patented in 1718 in Britain by a man named James Puckle. It was capable of firing 11 large 32mm shells at a rate of 9 per minute. The gun was tested once, but it was never fired again, and it was never used during a battle. Number 13. Davy Crockett M28 Nuclear Rifle. This weapon was never used, which is a good thing. It was tested several times in Nevada. However, NATO didn't approve it for action in fear that it might start a full-blown nuclear war. This weapon had a 1-mile range, and it would kill everyone and everything within a quarter mile. The fallout could spread up to 5 miles. If the winds were to change, the fallout could cover the shooters as well. Number 14. 2000 M1 Abrams Tanks. These tanks have never been used because we just don't need them. The bottom doesn't work well in the Middle East, and they also make the tank vulnerable to IEDs and mines. They were made because the military-industrial complex needs to be doing something, even if it's building something that we don't need. Number 15. Project X-Ray. This weapon was also known as the Bat Bomb. It contained hundreds of bats that were harvested in New Mexico, and they each had a napalm time bomb inside. The plan was to release the bats in Japan's cities and let them roost. Soon the bombs would go off, killing entire cities. The tests showed that the Bat Bomb would have been effective. However, the A-bomb dropped first.